Welcome back to SkillsHub.Life's How to Be a Voice Actor series. In this video, we're going to talk about essential skills for voice actors. Some of these may surprise you because they involve adulting and things you didn't necessarily pick when you picked this quiz, this career track, but they're really important. Let's talk about the fun ones first. All right. Acting is a really, really important skill. Understanding the basics of acting. As we've talked about before, there are some, oh, wait, my paper's right here. There are some paths that are acting heavy, wait, over here on the voice acting side, wait, there it is, and some that are less acting heavy. Either way, acting is very helpful, as I've said in the other videos. So, building your acting craft. Improv is a very, very important skill. Learn improv, practice improv, stay sharp in improv. Being able to, believe it or not, to read out loud. I know that sounds obvious, but people don't necessarily practice it. Reading out loud and cold reading. I have a great reading out loud story that was shared with me by D. Bradley Baker, who is brilliant and a divine human being who I adore. We came up together in the ranks, and he's just one of my favorite humans. Dee shared with me that he got a tip from Kath Soucie, who is, be still my heart, one of the OGs of voice acting. She is extraordinary and brilliant, and it was a huge inspiration for me. When I started, I wanted to be half as good as she is, and maybe one day. She's incredible. So, the story that he got, the tip really that he got from Kath, is to take a book, a novel of any kind, and read it out loud. And what he did was he would take a novel and he would walk his dogs, his pugs, and read it out loud as he was walking. And I asked him when he told me this story, I said, "Are there a trail of people behind you following to listen? Do they know what they're in the presence of?" I don't think he answered, but you don't have to do it while walking dogs. But reading out loud is really, really important skill. And if you want to throw into that cold reading out loud, cold reading is when you haven't prepared the material ahead of time. You're literally just looking at it. I'm going to try to grab something right now. Here's a book. I'm going to cold read something I haven't looked at in a minute. A good example of this comes from the story about Forrest Gump. He didn't have great ideas, but he took action. He was happy because he always did his best at whatever he did. He was richly rewarded without expecting any reward at all. Wow, this is good. I want to keep reading. It's from The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. But that was cold reading. I didn't know what I was going to read. I just opened it. And when you keep practicing that skill, singular, what happens is that you begin to develop this ability to read ahead, maybe just a couple of words, then maybe half a sentence. Then your eyes are actually almost a full sentence ahead of the words you're speaking, and you're actually tracking both successfully. That takes time. It takes time. And guys, time is the magic ingredient in all of this. Time plus consistency equals, well, plus good information equals great results. Mad skills. Okay, so the skills we have so far are acting, reading out loud, cold reading, breathing. I know that sounds weird. I know if you weren't breathing right now, you wouldn't be able to watch this because you wouldn't be here. But there are ways to breathe, and then there are ways to breathe that can sustain you through an entire long paragraph, and you don't lose your air, and you don't sound like you're running out of air. You can get the whole thing done. Breathing training is very, very important. And speaking of that little note I just did, singing training is extremely valuable. Whether or not you're a singer, it trains you to have a relationship with this little thing right here, this tiny, tiny, tiny little muscle, this voice box of yours, to get it to do what you need it to do on command. Take that training to an extreme into vocal extreme training and learn how to yell safely. We have a couple coaches on the site who coach that stuff, Lindsay Rousseau, a couple of others who really help you preserve your voice. Kaya Renwick, like preserve this instrument so it's safe when you're doing those really difficult efforts and grunts and battle stuff. You need power in here, and you need the breath to support it. Okay, so these are essential skills. Another essential skill is a good, strong head game. What do I mean by that? I mean mental resilience. the ability to take nothing personally, the ingrained, trained, disciplined, learned habit of internal validation. So that when you're in an audition room and you pour your soul out onto this take, onto this run at the material, and you hear this back, thank you. You're not crushed because you know it's not about you. That takes practice. You are not supposed to be born thinking that way. Don't expect that of yourself. It is a skill that you develop over time. A strong head game is essential to this craft. Now, skills you might not have expected. Basic accounting. Yeah. Expense tracking. Basic knowledge of your local tax code, not local, but your national tax code, and how deductions work, and what you can and can't write off. You don't have to go from 0 to 100 on these right away. Just find an accountant, number one, the ability to find professionals to help you, accountants, bookkeepers, people like that who can train you how to do what you need to do, or search YouTube videos or read books on this and just get a super, super basic knowledge of these things, because here's the thing, you are responsible for your business. You are responsible for your taxes. You are responsible for your money coming in and out. You're responsible for all of it, okay? And just not knowing does not make you not responsible. So start learning. Start learning in tiny pieces. Here's another one. Contracts. You are responsible to know what you're signing. We just did a fireside chat yesterday for Skills Hub, and we had some wonderful people on the panel, including Zeke Elton, who is on the committee at SAG negotiating on all of our behalfs. And he made a great point. He had a great outline for this. He said, read your contract each time you work. You're not going to understand much of it at all, but read it, and you'll understand a little bit more each time. And then you're going to be able to spot when somebody slipped a clause in there that is not good for you. And you can push back and go, you know what? I just need to amend this. Another skill you're going to need, self-advocacy. Yeah, I know. What is that? It's the ability to stand up for yourself when you need to. And you're not necessarily standing up against bullies or people intentionally trying to do the wrong thing. They're just looking out for what's in front of them. They're not thinking about your vocal health. They're not thinking about your long-term financial interests. They're not thinking about what happens if you're successful down the line and you signed away your rights in perpetuity. When I first started, I started working in Birmingham, Alabama in the non-union market. And the contracts, if there were any, allowed them to use what they recorded of my voice and my face in perpetuity. That meant forever. And I started putting a clause in there that said, up to 5 years. You can have it for 5 years. They didn't understand why I was doing that. I didn't fully understand why. Just my gut said, this doesn't feel right. This scares me. So I just said, I didn't say can I said, I'm going to put this in just to be, super protective or super cautious because someone said I should. Play dumb, whatever you need to do, but get that clause in there. You have a time limit. And I'm very glad I did because things worked out. I became pretty successful. And this way people can't go back and reuse the old commercials I did touting their product without paying me, okay, or without asking my express permission. So advocating for yourself, that's another skill. Relationship building, networking, marketing. That's a whole thing. How do you network in marketing without being a taker? How do you network and market without feeling like you're just always out to get something from people all the time? That's an art. We will talk about that. That is an art. We have entire classes at SkillsHub.Life about that topic because it's a real dilemma. It's a real skill that we're never taught, and we have to learn because what are we? Self-employed business people who happen to be voice actors as our skill. That happens to be our product. Okay? So that's a load of stuff for you to start to think about. There's even more, but I'm not going to fire hose you and overwhelm you any more than I already have. Hope this is useful. Again, let us know in the comments what you need. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe so we can get this out to as many people who need it as possible. And we're really glad you're here. Have a great day.